The chamber fell silent as Ambassador Tilth stepped forward. His skin, normally a soft blue, had turned gray with stress. Around him, the Valrine Council waited. 11 elders sat in a circle, their faces showing the same exhaustion Tilth felt. Outside the Grand Hall, their civilization was dying. 3 million dead in the last month, Tilth said quietly. The gray death spreads faster than we can count. Our medical centers are full. Our healers are falling sick. We have weeks, maybe days, before complete collapse. Council Elder Morth leaned forward. His ancient eyes were tired. We have tried everything, Ambassador. Every treatment, every cure our people know. Nothing works. That is why I bring you a new option, Tilth said. He activated the hologram display. An image appeared in the center of the room. It showed a blue and green planet, small and distant. The humans. Several council members made sounds of disgust. One stood up. The primitives? The warlike species we discovered only last year? You cannot be serious, Tilth had expected this reaction. The humans had a reputation. When the Valrine made first contact with Earth, they were shocked by what they found. A species that still fought wars. A people who built weapons as readily as they built homes. By galactic standards, humans were barbaric. I am completely serious, Tilth said. Yes, they are violent. Yes, they are crude. But they are also survivors. They come from what our scientists call a death world. Everything on their planet tried to kill them, and they are still here. They know diseases we cannot imagine. They have faced plagues and conquered them. They will probably try to conquer us too, another elder muttered. Tilth shook his head. I have studied them. Humans have something they call compassion. When others suffer, they feel pain. They send help to strangers. I believe if we ask, they will come. Morth stood slowly. The chamber quieted out of respect for the eldest among them. Ambassador Tilth, our people have lived in peace for 5,000 years. We have never needed weapons or warriors. We trusted in the goodness of the galaxy. Now you ask us to invite a warrior species to our worlds while we are weak? I ask us to live, Tilth said simply. We can debate philosophy after we survive. The vote was close, but desperation won. Tilth was authorized to contact Earth and request medical assistance. The message took 3 days to reach Earth through the quantum relay network. Tilth sent a formal diplomatic request. He explained the plague, the death count, the desperate need. He tried to sound dignified even while begging for help. Earth's response came faster than expected. Just 18 hours later, Admiral Jinwoo Park appeared on Tilth's communication screen. The human looked old, with gray in his hair and lines on his face. His uniform was dark blue with silver markings. Behind him, Tilth could see what looked like a military command center. Ambassador Tilth, Park said in surprisingly good Valrine, we received your message. Earth is mobilizing a response fleet. We will arrive in 48 hours. Tilth felt a wave of relief. Thank you, Admiral. We are preparing facilities for your medical teams. How many doctors should we expect? Park's expression did not change. We are sending 5 ships with full medical complements. Each ship carries 200 medical personnel and enough supplies to treat millions. 5 hospital ships, Tilth said, nodding. We are grateful. Not hospital ships, Park said. Battleships. Armed and ready. We will bring the medicine, Ambassador. We will also bring the means to protect it. The communication ended before Tilth could respond. On Earth, in a facility deep beneath Geneva, another conversation was happening. Dr. Haewon Kim stood in Admiral Park's office, her hands shaking with anger. Battleships, she said. You are sending battleships on a humanitarian mission? Park looked at her calmly. He had expected this argument. I am sending our 5 best mobile medical platforms. They happen to be armed. This is not what I signed up for, Kim said. She was young for a chief medical officer, only 38 but brilliant. She had designed most of the medical systems on the new ships. I became a doctor to save lives, not to militarize medicine. And you will save lives, Park said. He stood and walked to the window. Below, the massive shipyards were busy with activity. Dr. Kim, let me tell you a story. 50 years ago, I was a young medical officer on the colony ship Horizon. We traveled to a new world to help terraform it. We brought scientists, doctors, farmers. We brought hope. No weapons. We did not believe in violence. He turned to face her. Raiders hit us in deep space, pirates, they wanted our supplies. We had no defense. They killed 300 people, including our entire medical staff. I survived because I hid. I was a coward, Dr. Kim. I lived while healers died. Kim was quiet now, listening. The galaxy is not kind, Park continued. There are predators out there. The Valreen are dying, and someone might decide to take advantage of that. We are going to save them. We are also going to make sure no one stops us from doing our job. Hope is not a strategy, Doctor. We need medicine and firepower both. Kim looked down. When did healing become so complicated? The moment we decided to do it in a dangerous universe, Park said. Now are you with me? Those people need you. Kim thought about the casualty reports from Valreen space. 3 million dead. Children dying. Entire families wiped out. She looked up at Park and nodded. I am with you. But the moment this becomes about war instead of healing, I am gone. Fair enough, Park said. 2 days later, 5 massive ships launched from Earth orbit. They were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Each vessel was over 2 kilometers long, armored like a fortress. Weapons bristled from every surface. Railguns, missile batteries, plasma cannons, point defense systems. These were ships designed to fight planetary sieges, but inside each ship was something the galaxy had not expected. Medical bays that could handle thousands of patients. Research laboratories with the most advanced equipment Earth could build. Surgical theaters, quarantine zones, manufacturing facilities for medicine. Each ship was a complete hospital that could operate independently for years. The humans called them the medical fleet. The rest of the galaxy would learn to call them something else. In Valreen space, sensors detected the incoming human ships. Alarms went off across the homeworld. Military analysts, rusty from centuries of peace, stared at their screens in horror. Tilth received the report in his quarters. He read it 3 times, hoping he had misunderstood. Then he ran to the council chambers. They are warships, he shouted as he entered. The humans are sending warships. Panic erupted. Council members shouted at each other. Some demanded the humans be turned away. Others wanted to activate ancient defense satellites that had not been used in 1,000 years. Did we invite an invasion? Morth said quietly. Did we hand them our dying worlds? Tilth tried to contact Admiral Park. He tried again and again. Finally, a young human woman appeared on his screen. She wore a uniform similar to Park's but with different markings. This is Lieutenant Bo-Ra Choi, Communications Officer of the fleet, she said. Her Valreen was accented but clear. How can I help you, Ambassador? Your ships, Tilth said. They are military vessels. We requested medical aid, not an invasion force. Choi looked confused. Ambassador, these are our medical ships. Did you expect something different? You armed them, Tilth said. They have enough weapons to destroy planets. Of course, Choi said, as if this was obvious. They have to get to you safely, don't they? The route here passes through dangerous space. We will not let pirates or raiders stop us from helping you. Tilth felt dizzy. Those weapons will not be used against you, Choi said firmly. Ambassador, we are here to help. Please prepare quarantine zones for our teams. Dr. Kim wants to start work immediately upon arrival. The communication ended. Tilth sat in the darkness of his quarters, wondering what he had unleashed on his people. In the shadow of an asteroid field 3 light-years away, another ship watched the sensor readings. War Master Grask of the Krell Dominion studied the data on human vessels with interest. The Krell were opportunists. They saw weakness and exploited it. The Valreen plague was an opportunity, but now humans were involved. Strange, violent humans with their ridiculous hybrid ships, and should we withdraw? His second officer asked. Grask smiled, showing sharp teeth. No, let us watch these humans. If they are strong, we learn. If they are weak, we take what we want anyway. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Valreen space. 5 massive ships, dark and threatening, their weapon systems active and scanning everything around them. On the flagship, Admiral Park sat in his command chair. All ships maintain defensive formation. Science teams begin scanning for the plague. Medical teams prepare for deployment. Next to him, Dr. Kim watched the Valreen homeworld grow larger on the view screen. It looked beautiful from space. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked peaceful. She knew that down there millions were dying. This is the Human Medical Corps, she broadcast to the planet below. We are here to save you. Prepare to receive our teams. Park glanced at her and nodded. Then he looked at his tactical officer. Maintain full alert status. If anyone tries to interfere with our mission, we respond with extreme force. The healing had begun, so had something else. The first human shuttle dropped through the atmosphere like a falling stone. It was armored, built more for assault than transport. Inside, Dr. Haewon Kim checked her equipment one more time. Around her, 20 medical personnel did the same. Half of them wore white medical gear. The other half wore combat armor and carried weapons. Is the security really necessary? Kim asked the squad leader. The soldier, a woman named Corporal Jisoo Park, nodded. Yes, doctor. We do not know what is down there. Plague zones can be dangerous. Desperate people do desperate things. The shuttle landed hard in what used to be a public park. Now it was a quarantine zone. Temporary shelters filled every open space. Thousands of sick Valrine lay on cots, too weak to move. The smell hit Kim as soon as the ramp dropped. Death and disease mixed with disinfectant. Medical teams deploy, Kim ordered. Let us get to work. A group of Valrine healers approached. Leading them was healer Vrenna, a tall female with traditional medical robes. Her face showed shock when she saw the human soldiers. Why do you bring warriors to a place of healing? Vrenna asked. Kim stepped forward. They are here to protect us while we work. I am Dr. Kim, Chief Medical Officer. We are here to help. Vrenna looked at the human equipment being unloaded from the shuttle. Scanners that looked like weapons. Medical devices covered in armor plating. Everything the humans brought seemed designed for war. This way, Vrenna said coldly. I will show you the worst cases. They walked through rows of dying patients. Kim scanned each one with her handheld device. The readings made her heart sink. The plague was even worse than the report suggested. It attacked the Valrine immune system, then their organs. It was efficient, deadly, and spreading fast. We have tried everything, Vrenna said. All our traditional cures. Nothing works. Kim stopped at one patient, a young Valrine child. She ran a deep scan. This plague is not natural. What do you mean? Vrenna asked. It is too perfect, Kim said, studying her scanner. It targets Valrine biology specifically. Natural diseases are not this efficient. She looked up at Vrenna. Someone made this. Vrenna stepped back. That is impossible. Biological weapons are forbidden by galactic law. No civilized species would... We will discuss that later, Kim interrupted. Right now we need to save lives. I need to take samples. Many samples. My team will work around the clock to find a cure. Your methods, Vrenna said carefully. I have read about human medicine. You use aggressive techniques. Gene therapy, nanomachines, invasive procedures. These things are forbidden in Valrine culture. Kim turned to face the healer. You called us because your way was not working. Are you going to let cultural preferences kill your people? Vrenna said nothing. I thought not, Kim said. Now help us set up our equipment. In orbit, Admiral Jinwoo Park stood on the bridge of his flagship. The Indomitable Will. The massive battleship hung in space above the Valrine homeworld, its sensors watching everything. Around it, the other 4 ships of the fleet had taken defensive positions. Admiral, called Lieutenant Borachoy from her station. We are detecting ships at the edge of the system. They are not Valrine. Park walked to the tactical display. How many? 3 ships, sir. Medium size. They are just watching us. Krell Dominion markings, added the tactical officer. They have been there since we arrived. Park nodded slowly. The Krell were known to him. They were opportunists, always looking for weakness to exploit. Keep an eye on them. If they move closer, I want to know immediately. Ambassador Tilth arrived on the bridge, escorted by security. He looked nervous being surrounded by so many weapons and military personnel. Admiral Park, Tilth said, I wanted to thank you personally for coming, and to apologize for our initial reaction. We are not used to such heavily armed vessels. No apology needed, Park said. Would you like a tour of the ship? It might help you understand what we do, Tilth agreed, curious despite his fear. Park led him through the massive vessel. First, they visited the medical bays, rooms full of beds and equipment, all empty now but ready for patients. Laboratories where scientists worked on plague samples brought up from the surface. Surgical theaters with the most advanced technology. This is impressive, Tilth admitted. But why build it inside a warship? Park took him to a viewing port. Look out there, Ambassador. See those Krell ships? Tilth nodded. They are here because they know you are weak, Park said. They are waiting to see if they can take advantage. Your plague made you vulnerable. Predators can smell that. But we have laws, Tilth protested. Galactic regulations. The Krell would not dare attack us. Park laughed, but there was no humor in it. Laws are just words, Ambassador. They only matter if someone enforces them. Tell me, who would defend you if the Krell attacked? Tilth had no answer. Exactly, Park said. We humans learned a hard lesson long ago. Peace is not the natural state of the universe. Peace is something you have to fight for. Literally. Every human colony learned this. If you cannot defend your hospitals, you will have nothing but graveyards. They walked to the weapons deck. Park showed him the massive railguns that could punch holes through planets, the missile batteries that could fight off entire fleets, the defense systems that could track 1,000 targets at once. Every weapon on this ship has one purpose, Park said, to make sure my doctors can do their job. That is all. We did not come here to conquer. We came to heal. But we came prepared to fight anyone who tries to stop us. Tilth looked at the weapons, then back at the medical bays they had visited. Slowly, understanding began to dawn. You see medicine and military as the same thing. No, Park corrected. We see them as two tools for the same job. Keeping people alive. Sometimes you need a scalpel. Sometimes you need a gun. The goal is always survival. Back on the surface, Dr. Kim's team was working miracles. They had set up a mobile laboratory in the quarantine zone. Human equipment hummed and beeped as it analyzed the plague. Kim had not slept in 30 hours, surviving on stimulants and determination. I have something, called out Dr. Young-Soo Nam, one of her researchers. Look at this protein sequence. Kim studied the data. Her eyes widened. This confirms it. The plague is definitely engineered. And look at this marker. I have seen something similar before in Krell biological research we captured from a pirate lab. The Krell made this? Nam asked, shocked. Maybe. Or they sold the technology to someone who did. Kim rubbed her tired eyes. Either way, we need to synthesize a counteragent fast. These people do not have much time. She worked through the night testing different combinations. The Valrine immune system was different from human, but the basic principles were the same. She just needed to find the right key. At dawn, she had it. A treatment that would boost the Valrine immune system while targeting the plague directly. It would require nanomachines, gene therapy, and several procedures that would horrify the Valrine healers. But it would work. She found healer Vrenna in one of the treatment tents. The Valrine healer looked exhausted, her robes stained with the fluids of the sick. I have a cure, Kim said, but you are not going to like it. She explained the treatment. Vrenna's face showed growing horror. You want to inject machines into our bodies? Alter our genes? This is barbaric. This is effective, Kim countered. Look around you, healer. Your people are dying. I can save them, but not with gentle methods. This plague is a weapon. We need to fight it like a weapon. And if your treatment goes wrong, Vrenna demanded. If it harms people? Kim looked her in the eyes. Then I will live with that guilt for the rest of my life. But doing nothing guarantees they die. At least this way they have a chance. Vrenna looked at the rows of dying patients, her people, her responsibility. She closed her eyes and made a decision that went against everything she believed. Do it, she whispered. The first patient was the young child Kim had scanned earlier, a boy named Tillich, only 6 years old in Valrine years. He was barely conscious, his small body ravaged by the disease. Kim prepared the injection herself, her hands steady despite her exhaustion. This will hurt, she told the child's mother in simple Valrine. But it will save him. She administered the treatment. Nanomachines flooded into Tillich's bloodstream.
Gene therapy sequences activated.
The child convulsed once, then went still. His mother cried out. Vrenna grabbed Kim's arm. What have you done? Kim checked her scanner. Wait, seconds passed like hours. Then Tillich's vital signs began to improve. The plague markers started dropping. His breathing eased. Color returned to his skin. It is working, Vrenna breathed. Over the next 12 hours, Kim and her team treated 200 patients. The cure worked on all of them. The success rate was 100%. Word spread through the quarantine zones. Hope that dangerous thing began to grow. But in orbit, the situation was changing. The 3 Krell ships at the system's edge had been joined by 10 more. Then 20. They were gathering, watching, waiting. Lieutenant Choi reported to Admiral Park. Sir, the Krell fleet now numbers 30 ships. They have moved closer. Still outside weapon range, but they are definitely preparing for something. Park studied the tactical display. They are testing us. Seeing if we will run. Should we call for reinforcements? Captain Sungmin Lee asked. He commanded the battleship Mercy's Hammer, positioned on the fleet's right flank. Dr. Haewon Kim stood in her laboratory reviewing the latest test results when engineer Daewon Han burst through the door. He was young for a senior engineer, barely 30, with quick hands and a quicker mind. Right now his face showed excitement. "Dr. Kim, I need your help with something," Han said. "I am a bit busy saving lives," Kim replied, not looking up from her microscope. "That is exactly why I need you," Han insisted. "Look at this." He pulled up a hologram showing the ship's plasma sterilization cannon. It was normally used to clean contaminated areas from orbit, burning away biological hazards with superheated energy. "What about it?" Kim asked. "I can modify it," Han said. "Reduce the power output, adjust the frequency, turn it from a weapon into a precision tool. We could sterilize entire infected zones from space without harming anyone inside. Kill every plague spore in minutes." Kim finally looked up. "That is brilliant. But will it work?" "Only one way to find out," Han grinned. "I need your biological data to tune the frequency correctly. We need to kill the plague but not damage Valreen's cellular structure." They worked together for 3 hours, combining medical knowledge with engineering skill. By the end, they had created something new. A weapon that healed. A tool of destruction transformed into salvation. On the bridge, Admiral Jinwoo Park received their proposal. He read it twice, then smiled. "Humans always find a way. Permission granted. Begin sterilization runs over the outlying colonies." But before they could start, the tactical alarm sounded. Lieutenant Bo-Ra Choi's voice was urgent. "Admiral, the Krell fleet is moving. All 30 ships are advancing on our position." Park stood. "Battle stations. All crew to combat positions. Medical teams on the surface, seal your shelters and take cover." Ambassador Tilth was still on the bridge. He gripped his chair as the battleship hummed with power. "Admiral, can 5 ships really fight 30? "We are about to find out," Park said calmly. On the surface, Kim heard the warning. Around her, the human medical staff moved quickly, securing equipment and patients. "The Valreen healers look terrified. What is happening?" Frenna asked. "The Krell are attacking," Kim said simply. "Our ships will handle it. But there are so many of them. Surely you should evacuate." "We do not abandon patients," Kim interrupted. She went back to treating the sick. If she was afraid, she did not show it. Her hand stayed steady as she prepared another injection. In orbit, the Krell fleet formed an attack formation. War Master Grask sat in his command ship confident. 30 warships against 5. The math was simple. Humans were new to the galaxy, untested. They would break easily. "All ships open fire," Grask ordered. The space around Valreen Prime lit up with weapons fire. Plasma bolts, missiles, and energy beams streaked toward the human fleet. The Valreen on the surface looked up and saw their sky turn bright with battle. Admiral Park watched the incoming fire on his displays. "Point defense, engage." All ships returned fire. The human battleships opened up. Their point defense systems were something the galaxy had never seen before. Thousands of small lasers tracked every incoming projectile. They moved so fast they seemed like solid streams of light. Missiles exploded before reaching the human ships. Plasma bolts were intercepted and dispersed. Energy beams hit shields that barely flickered. "Shields at 97%, reported the tactical officer. "No damage," Park nodded. "Target their lead ships. Fire rail guns." The rail guns were Earth's answer to space combat. Magnetic accelerators launched solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The galaxy used energy weapons because they thought mass drivers were primitive. They were wrong. 6 railgun rounds left the indomitable will at a significant fraction of light speed. They crossed the distance to the Krell fleet in seconds. 3 Krell ships simply ceased to exist, torn apart by relativistic impacts. The 4th lost its entire front section. The 5th and 6th were crippled, spinning out of control. War Master Grask stared at his displays in shock. What was that?" His tactical officer's voice shook. "Kinetic weapons, sir, moving at 0.25 light speed. Our shields could not stop them." Captain Sungmin Lee commanded the Mercy's hammer on the fleet's flank. He watched 3 Krell ships trying to circle around them. "Not today," he muttered. "Weapons, give me a plasma torpedo spread. Maximum yield." The Mercy's hammer launched 6 torpedoes. These were not standard plasma weapons. Engineer Han had modified them from the sterilization systems. They used medical scanning technology to identify weak points in target ships, then delivered their payload with surgical precision. The Krell ships tried to dodge. They failed. The torpedoes tracked them perfectly, struck their reactor sections, and detonated. The explosions were so bright they could be seen from the surface. 3 confirmed kills, Lee's tactical officer reported. Enemy formation breaking. On the bridge of the Indomitable Will, Lieutenant Choi coordinated the fleet's fire. She had studied galactic combat tactics and found them predictable. The Krell fought like everyone else in the galaxy fought. Fancy maneuvers, energy weapons, lots of posturing. Humans fought to win. Admiral, enemy ships attempting to flank, she reported. Engaging with missile batteries. The human missiles were another nasty surprise for the Krell. They did not just fly straight. They were smart. Each one had its own tiny AI, constantly calculating the best attack vector. They swarmed like insects, overwhelming enemy point defenses through sheer numbers and intelligence. 15 missiles hit 4 Krell ships. The ship's shields overloaded and collapsed. Without shields, the Krell hulls were just metal. They crumpled. In 20 minutes, the Krell had lost 15 ships. The humans had not lost a single one, not even serious damage. War Master Grask realized he had made a terrible mistake. These humans were not soft. They were not primitive. They were killers who had turned warfare into a science. All ships retreat, he ordered. But Admiral Park had other plans. Pursuit course. Do not let them regroup. I want them to remember what happens when they threaten our medical missions. The 5 human battleships accelerated. Despite their massive size, they were fast. The Krell ships tried to flee, but they were already damaged and slow. 5 more Krell ships died in the pursuit. The rest made it to the system's edge and jumped to hyperspace, leaving their dead behind. Park finally called off the attack. All ships returned to defensive positions. Damage report. Shields at 73% across the fleet, reported the tactical officer. No hull damage. No casualties. Tilth stared at the tactical display showing the debris of 20 Krell ships. You destroyed 2/3 of their fleet. We defended our patients, Park corrected. There is a difference. On the surface, Dr. Kim heard the all-clear signal. She had not stopped working during the entire battle. Around her, Valrine healers stood in shock. They had watched the sky light up with combat. Now it was over, and the humans had won. Your people are warriors, Brenna said quietly. Our people are survivors, Kim replied. We do what is necessary. But the battle had consequences beyond just the destroyed ships. During the fighting, several Krell assault shuttles had managed to land on the planet. 30 Krell soldiers, trapped when their fleet retreated, were now loose on Valrine Prime. They headed for the human medical facilities. Corporal Jisoo Park was the first to spot them. She was patrolling the perimeter when her motion sensors picked up movement. Large shapes moving fast through the ruins of a nearby city. Security alert, she broadcast. Hostiles approaching from the northeast. All security personnel to combat stations. The Krell soldiers were desperate. Stranded on an enemy world, they decided to strike at the humans while they were vulnerable on the ground. If they could kill the medical staff or destroy the cure, the Valrine would still die. That would be some victory to take back to their people. They charged into the quarantine zone with weapons blazing. Valrine civilians scattered, screaming. The Krell fired at anything that moved. Then they met human security. Corporal Park had 10 soldiers under her command. They were outnumbered 3-1. They did not care. This was their mission. These people were under their protection. Defensive formation, Park ordered. Protect the civilians. The human soldiers moved with practiced precision. They took positions that gave them cover while exposing the Krell. Their weapons were designed for stopping large, aggressive threats. Each shot was aimed, calculated, efficient. The first Krell to die did not even see the soldier who killed him. He just fell, a hole through his chest plate. The second and third died the same way. The Krell were warriors, but humans were soldiers. There was a difference. Warriors relied on strength and courage. Soldiers relied on training and tactics. Dr. Kim heard the gunfire and immediately ordered her staff to seal the medical tents. She grabbed her emergency kit and ran toward the fighting. Brenna tried to stop her. You will be killed. I am a doctor, Kim said. People are hurt. She found a group of young Valrine who had been caught in the crossfire. They were volunteers who had been helping the human medical teams. Now they were injured, bleeding, scared. Kim dragged them to cover and began treating their wounds. A Krell soldier spotted her. He raised his weapon. Before he could fire, 3 human soldiers shot him simultaneously. He fell, his weapon clattering away. The warning came at dawn. Lieutenant Bora Choi was reviewing communications logs when every sensor on the fleet lit up at once. Her training kept her calm, but her heart raced. Admiral Park to the bridge immediately, she called. We have a situation. Park arrived within minutes, still fastening his uniform. He took one look at the sensor display and his expression hardened. How many? 207 ships, Choi reported. Krell Dominion markings. They are coming in fast from multiple vectors. Captain Sungmin Lee appeared on the communication screen from the Mercy's hammer. His face showed no fear, only determination. Admiral, we need to evacuate the medical teams from the surface. No, Park said firmly. We have thousands of patients down there who cannot be moved. Dr. Kim has 3 days of work left to finish distributing the cure. We hold the line, Lee nodded. He had expected that answer. Then we hold. All ships defensive formation, Park ordered. Position around the planet. Make them come through us to reach the surface. The 5 human battleships moved into position. They formed a sphere around Valrine Prime, weapons pointing outward in all directions. Against 200 ships, it seemed like suicide. On the surface, Dr. Haewon Kim was informed of the approaching fleet. She gathered her medical staff in the main treatment center. Their faces showed fear. They were doctors, not soldiers. But they had a job to do. The fleet is coming to defend us, Kim said. Our job is to keep working. Every patient we cure is a life saved. That is why we are here. That is what we do. Engineer Daewon Han approached her after the briefing. Doctor, I modified every weapon system we have. If we survive this, it will be because we used every advantage we possess. When we survive this, Kim corrected. Admiral Park does not lose. Han managed a weak smile. I hope you are right. Ambassador Tilth stood on the bridge of the Indomitable Will, watching the Krell fleet approach. This time he had insisted on staying. If his world was to be defended, he wanted to witness it. Admiral, Tilth said quietly, you should run. Save yourselves. We are grateful for what you have done, but this is hopeless. Park looked at him. Ambassador, let me tell you something about humans. We do not measure battles by numbers. We measure them by what is at stake. Down on that planet are sick people who need us. That is worth fighting for. That is worth dying for if necessary. The Krell fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the system. 200 warships, each bristling with weapons. At their center was a massive command dreadnought, 3 times the size of a normal warship. War Master Grask commanded from that ship, determined to erase his earlier failure. Human vessels. Grask's voice came through. You have one chance to survive. Withdraw now. Leave the Valrine to us. Park's response was brief. No. Then you will die, Grask said. 200 ships against 5. Even you cannot survive those odds. You are about to learn something about humans, Park replied. We do not calculate odds. We calculate objectives. Ours is to protect those patients. What is yours? Grask cut the communication. All ships advance. Destroy the human fleet. The Krell fleet moved forward like a swarm. They came from all directions, trying to surround the human position. It was a classic overwhelming force tactic. Drown the enemy in firepower. Park watched them come. All ships activate enhanced point defense. Prepare rolling barrage pattern. On my mark. The Krell opened fire first. The space around Valrine Prime became a storm of energy and metal. Thousands of weapons fired simultaneously. It looked like nothing could survive. The human ships proved otherwise. Their point defense systems had been upgraded by Han's team. They did not just shoot at incoming fire. They predicted trajectories, calculated optimal intercept points, and fired in patterns that created walls of destruction. Missiles exploded in chains. Energy beams were disrupted before reaching their targets. The humans stood in the middle of a firestorm and took no damage. Shields holding at 95%, reported the tactical officer. No penetrations. Return fire, Park ordered. Railguns full barrage. All 5 human battleships fired their railguns in sequence. 30 projectiles launched, each moving at devastating speed. The Krell tried to dodge. At that velocity, dodging was impossible. The projectiles simply appeared among the Krell ships and started destroying them. 10 Krell ships vanished in the first salvo. 10 more were crippled in the second. The third salvo killed 8. In 90 seconds, 28 Krell ships were gone. War Master Grask stared at his tactical display in disbelief. How? How are they doing this? His tactical officer's voice was panicked. Their weapons are too fast. Our shields cannot stop solid matter at those speeds. And their defensive systems are unlike anything we have faced. They are intercepting 98% of our fire. Then we will hit them with the 2% that gets through. Grask snarled. All ships concentrate fire on one target. The flagship. Overwhelmed their defenses with pure volume. 170 ships turned their weapons on the indomitable will. The amount of firepower was staggering, enough to destroy a small moon. Admiral Park saw it coming. Brace for impact. Route all auxiliary power to forward shields. The barrage hit like a tsunami. The indomitable will shuddered. Alarm sounded. Shields flickered under the incredible strain. Shields at 40%, the tactical officer called. Hull damage on decks 3 and 4. We cannot take another hit like that. We do not need to, Park said calmly.
Captain Lee, execute Plan Hammer. Captain Lee had been waiting for this.
With pleasure. All ships spread formation. Engage Combat Maneuver 7. The 5 human battleships suddenly moved. They broke formation, not running away but spreading out. The Krell fleet had concentrated on the flagship. Now they were bunched together. Perfect targets. The human ships attacked from 5 directions at once. Railguns, plasma torpedoes, missile swarms. Every weapon fired in a coordinated strike that had been planned and practiced. The Krell fleet found itself caught in a crossfire. Ships exploded by the dozens. The Krell formation dissolved into chaos. Ships collided trying to avoid fire. Others shot at each other by mistake in the confusion. What had been a disciplined fleet became a mob. Lieutenant Choi coordinated the attack with precision. She had studied every ship in the Krell fleet through their earlier encounter. She knew which ones had weak shields, which ones had slow engines, which ones had poor point defense. She targeted each ship's weakness perfectly. Target the command dreadnought, Park ordered. All ships concentrate fire. 5 battleships turned their attention to Grask's flagship. The massive ship tried to maneuver, but it was too big, too slow. Railgun rounds tore into its shields. Plasma torpedoes overloaded its defense systems. Missiles found weak points and exploited them. The dreadnought's shields collapsed. Its armor held for a few seconds. Then the Mercy's hammer fired one last railgun shot that punched completely through the ship from bow to stern. The dreadnoug's reactor went critical. The explosion was visible from the surface of Valrine Prime. War Master Grask died still not understanding how he had lost. With their command ship destroyed, the Krell fleet broke completely. Every ship tried to retreat at once. They crashed into each other in their panic. Some jumped to hyperspace without calculating proper vectors and were never seen again. Others were picked off by human weapons as they fled. When the battle ended 40 minutes after it began, 143 Krell ships had been destroyed. 57 escaped, damaged, and demoralized. The human fleet remained intact. Park sat in his command chair, feeling every one of his years. Damage report. Indomitable Will has shield damage and minor hull breaches. Mercy's hammer is at 80%. Other ships are in good condition. Total casualties: 3 dead, 47 wounded, 3 dead. Park felt each loss like a personal failure, but he had saved millions. The math was brutal but necessary. On the surface, Dr. Kim had worked through the entire battle. She heard the explosions in orbit. She felt the ground shake when debris hit the planet's upper atmosphere. She did not stop treating patients. When the all-clear signal came, she finally looked up. Corporal Jisoo Park stood nearby, her armor scorched from defending the medical facility during another Krell ground assault. "We won?" Kim asked. "We won," Park confirmed. The fleet held. Kim nodded and went back to work. There were still people who needed her, but the battle had consequences beyond casualties and destroyed ships. During the fighting, several Krell boarding parties had attacked the human ships. They thought close combat would negate the human advantage in weapons range. They were wrong. The Krell learned that humans were just as dangerous up close. Human security teams repelled every boarding attempt. The Krell who survived were captured. Among them were officers with computer access, officers who had been careless with their security. Engineer Han found the data during interrogation of a captured Krell terminal. He brought it directly to Admiral Park. "Sir, you need to see this," Han said. He displayed files showing genetic research, biological weapons development, purchase orders and shipping manifests. They bought the plague, Han explained, from weapons dealers in neutral space. Then they released it on Valrine Prime. This was their plan all along: weaken the Valrine, then invade when they were too sick to resist. 3 weeks after the battle, Dr. Haewon Kim stood in the main hospital of Valrine Prime and looked at rows of empty beds. Empty beds meant success. The Gray Death Plague had been eradicated. The last patient had been declared cured yesterday. Against all odds, millions had survived. Healer Vrenna approached her with 2 steaming cups of Valrine tea. It tasted terrible to human biology, but Kim drank it anyway out of politeness. "The council wants to honor you," Vrenna said. "They are planning a ceremony. Medals, speeches, the traditional recognition of heroes." Kim shook her head. "We do not need that. We did our job. You saved my entire species," Vrenna said softly. "That deserves recognition." "We did what anyone should do when others need help," Kim replied. She looked out the window at the city beyond. Workers were rebuilding. Children played in the streets. Life was returning to normal. This is enough recognition. Seeing people live. But the galaxy had other ideas. News of the Battle of Valrine Prime spread through every star system. The small human fleet that destroyed a Krell armada. The doctors who refused to abandon their patients even facing impossible odds. The evidence of Krell biological warfare that humans made public for all to see. On the bridge of the Indomitable Will, Admiral Jinwoo Park reviewed message after message. Requests for help. Invitations to diplomatic meetings. Threats from species that saw humans as a new threat. Offers of alliance from those who saw opportunity. "We have 17 more requests for medical assistance," Lieutenant Bo-Ra Choi reported. 8 are from species in Krell-controlled space. They watched what we did and want the same protection. "We are not mercenaries," Park said firmly. "We do not sell protection. We provide help to those who need it." "Some of these requests come with offers of payment," Choi continued. "Resources, technology, territory. They want to hire us." Park stood and walked to the viewport. Below, Valrine Prime looked peaceful. It had not looked that way 3 weeks ago. "Send the same response to everyone. We provide humanitarian aid. If they need medical help, we come. If they need training to defend themselves, we can discuss that. But we do not take payment for saving lives." Captain Sung-Min Lee entered the bridge. He looked tired but satisfied. The Mercy's hammer had been fully repaired after taking damage in the battle. "Admiral, I received word from Earth. They are building 10 more medical battleships. The fleet is expanding. Because they know we will need them," Park said. "After what happened here, every weak species in the galaxy will call for help. Every oppressed world will ask for protection. We cannot save everyone, but we can save some," Lee said. "That is better than saving none." On the surface, engineer Dae Won Han worked with young Valrine engineers in a converted factory. They were building the first Valrine defense ship. It was small, crude compared to human vessels, but it was a start. One of the Valrine, a young male named Gresh, looked up from his work. "Why are you helping us build weapons? You could keep this technology for yourselves." Han smiled. "Because weapons only keep you safe if you have them. If we are the only ones with ships, then you depend on us forever. That is not help. That is control. We want you to stand on your own." "But what if we use these weapons badly?" another Valrine asked. "What if we become like the Krell?" "That is your choice to make," Han said. "Having weapons does not make you evil. Using them against the innocent does. You have seen the difference. You know what it means to be protected. Now you can protect others." The Valrine worked in silence, considering this. They were learning a difficult truth. Power was not evil. The use of power could be good or evil. It all depended on the choice. Ambassador Tilth prepared for a journey to the Galactic Council headquarters. He would present the evidence of Krell war crimes. He would demand justice for his people, and he would do it with a small human security team beside him, because the galaxy was still dangerous. Before leaving, he met with Admiral Park one final time. They stood in the memorial garden that the Valrine had created for the 3 humans who died in the battle. Simple stones marked their graves. Human and Valrine names were carved side by side. Those who died defending, those who died being defended. "We will never forget what you did," Tilth said. "Make sure you do not forget why we did it," Park replied. "We came because you asked for help. We fought because others tried to stop us from helping. Remember that. When you have power, use it to protect, not to dominate. Will you stay?" Tilth asked. "We still need you." Park shook his head. "We will leave a small medical team and some military advisors to help train your defense forces. But the main fleet must go. Other worlds need us now." "The messages from other species," Tilth said. "You received them too?" 37 requests so far, Park confirmed. Some genuine calls for help. Some traps. Some from species that want to use us against their enemies. We have to be careful. We cannot fight everyone's wars, but you will fight some? When we must, Park said. When the cause is just and the need is real. We are not trying to conquer the galaxy, Ambassador. We are just trying to make it a bit less cruel. Dr. Kim held a final training session with Valrine medical staff. She taught them the techniques that had saved millions. Some methods were still uncomfortable for them. Gene therapy, nanomedicine, aggressive intervention. But they were learning. You will face other plagues, Kim told them. The Krell are not the only ones who use biological weapons. You need to be ready. Study everything. Question everything. And never assume something cannot be done just because it has not been done before. A young Valrine healer raised her hand. Dr. Kim, why do humans think so differently? You see problems as things to solve, not things to endure. Kim thought about the question. Because we come from a world that never gave us a choice. Earth tried to kill us in a million ways. Diseases, predators, weather, starvation. We survived by refusing to accept death. That became part of who we are. We do not endure suffering. We fight it. Is that why you built weapons into hospital ships? No, Kim said. We built weapons into hospital ships because the universe has predators. We learned that someone will always try to stop you from doing good. We decided they would not succeed. The weapons are not about violence. They are about commitment. When we say we will help you, we mean it. Nothing will stop us. The Valrine healers discussed this among themselves. It was a new way of thinking. A human way of thinking. It was spreading. On the last day before the fleet departed, the Valrine held their ceremony despite Kim's objections. Thousands gathered in the central plaza. Human and Valrine stood together. Council Elder Morth, who had once distrusted humans, gave a speech. We were a proud people, Morth said. Proud of our 5,000 years of peace. Proud that we had never built weapons or fought wars. We thought that made us civilized. We were wrong. Peace without the strength to defend it is just waiting to become victims. The humans taught us that. They saved us. They showed us that you can have both compassion and strength. You can heal and you can fight. These things are not opposites. They are partners in survival. He turned to Admiral Park. You came when we needed you most. You asked for nothing. You gave everything. The Valrine people will remember. We will honor your fallen. We will learn from your example. And we will carry this lesson forward. Compassion without strength is weakness. Strength without compassion is cruelty. You showed us how to have both. Park accepted the honors on behalf of his crew. He said few words. He was not good at speeches. But he meant every word he did say. We did what humans do, Park said simply. We helped. That is all. When someone needs help and you can give it, you give it. If someone tries to stop you, you stop them. It is not complicated. It is just the right thing to do. The fleet prepared to depart. Dr. Kim left a team of 10 medical specialists behind to continue training Valrine healers. Engineer Han left detailed plans for building better defense ships. Captain Lee left military advisors to train Valrine security forces. As the 5 battleships powered up to leave orbit, Lieutenant Choi received a priority message. She routed it to Admiral Park. Sir, it is from a species called the Tarnan. They are 60 light-years from here. They say they are being invaded by the Krell. They are asking for help. Park looked at his crew. They were tired. They had fought a major battle. They deserved rest. But he knew what they would say if he asked. Set course for Tarnan space, Park ordered. Maximum speed. Send a message ahead. Tell them we are coming. And if it is a trap? Choi asked. If the Krell are waiting for us? Park smiled coldly. Then the Krell are going to learn that humans do not scare easily. We are not going to stop helping people just because it is dangerous. The 5 battleships jumped to hyperspace, leaving Valrine Prime behind. On the surface, Valrine and humans watched them go. The ships had arrived as frightening warships. They left as symbols of hope. War Master Grask was dead, but the Krell Dominion was not. In their high command chambers, the surviving leaders debated what to do about humans. Some wanted revenge. Others wanted to avoid them. All agreed that humans had changed everything. They are too dangerous, one leader said. 5 ships destroyed an armada. What happens when they build 100 ships? 1,000? We should sue for peace, another suggested. Trade with them. Make them allies instead of enemies.